Yo, what is going on, guys? It is your boy Sydney here with you today. And you know what this means. I'm going to be pulling over in a second so that I can read this article to you because it is absolutely amazing. Now, the question is often asked, why are there not more women in leadership? And today I'm going to be talking about political leadership. Some of you may have heard of a particular individual. Her name is Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. Now, she's an American activist on the left. She's a Democratic Party supporter. In fact, not Democratic Party, Democratic Socialist Party supporter. So I think we can already see where this is going. She defeated the incumbent Democratic Caucus Chair Joe Crowley in a midterm election season. And let me pull over here so we can get this for you guys. All right. Won the Democratic primary in New York's 14th congressional district. There we go. So she is now a politician, and she is 28, possibly by now 29 years old. And yes, you're right, Maggie Alpha One. Democratic Socialist is a socialist, not a Democrat. I agree with you. I apologize for not clearly making that distinction straight off the bat. So let's have a quick read of the article. And this is just mind-numbingly dumb. How? So this chick here, get a look at that face. Ocasio-Cortez says low unemployment is part of the problem. Socialist Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez said in a recent interview that the low US unemployment rate is a part of the problem that she is looking to solve, then proceeded to make multiple false claims. And I've actually watched the video of this, so I can attest to it. Ocasio-Cortez joined Margaret Hoover on PBS's Firing Line, where she attacked Israel, calling them occupiers of Palestine, before admitting that she had no idea what she was talking about, despite having a degree in economics and international relations. Now, just bank that she has a degree in economics and international relations, because I'm going to be referring back to that very shortly. During the interview, Ocasio-Cortez made troubling remarks about the US economy after Hoover noted that the economy under the Trump administration is strong, with an unemployment rate hovering around 4%. Well, I think the numbers that you just talked about is part of the problem, Ocasio-Cortez replied. Because we look at these figures and we say unemployment is low, everything's fine, right? Well, unemployment is low because everyone has 2 jobs, Ocasio-Cortez falsely stated. Unemployment is low because people are working 60, 70, 80 hours a week and can barely feed their kids. Ocasio-Cortez continued by saying, capitalism has not always existed in the world and will not always exist in the world, before falsely stating that America was not pro-capitalist at its inception. Economic numbers released for June 2018 shows that the number of people who are currently working part-time jobs because their hours were cut back at work or because they couldn't find a full-time job has dropped by over 1 million since June 2016. That'd be around about the time, roughly, that Trump took office. But it's none of my business, right? Also, the number of people on food stamps has fallen to an 8-year low as the Trump administration has cracked down on fraud and strengthened the economy. Interesting. Now, hopefully this has enough volume for you guys to be able to hear this properly. I am just loading up, if I can, this video. Bear with me a moment. Come on. Yeah, see, this is the downfall of not having... I don't recharge this phone with credit all the time because obviously I don't want to be spending money I don't have to. But this would be one of those times where it'd be really helpful. I'm just going to reload this. I've just turned the hotspot on. Here we go. This is what I'm after.
Was really your rallying cry in your campaign? It was always about working class Americans. You talk about this is the bottom, not the left versus the right.
Right.
Now, the economy is going pretty strong, right? There's roughly 4% unemployment, 3.9% unemployment. Do you think that capitalism has failed to deliver for working class Americans, or is no longer the best vehicle for working class Americans?
Well, I think the numbers that you just talked about is part of the problem, right? Because we look at these figures and we say, oh, unemployment is low, everything is fine, right? Well, unemployment is low because everyone has 2 jobs. Unemployment is low because people are working 60, 70, 80 hours a week and can barely feed their kids. And so I do think that right now, when we have this no-holds-barred, Wild West hyper-capitalism, what that means is profit at any cost. Capitalism has not always existed in the world, and it will not always exist in the world. When this country started, we were not a capitalist. We did not operate on a capitalist economy.
Ridiculous, right? Now, I'm going to refer back now to the point that she has a degree in economics. Clearly, I don't have a degree in English speaking. She has a degree in economics, and she has a degree in international relations. Let that sink in. Now, degree in economics. Now, she's just said that the unemployment rates are low because everybody's working 2 jobs. She also said that the unemployment rates are low because people are working 60, 70, 80-hour weeks. So let's just do some preliminary basic maths, okay? Assuming a 40-hour working week. So if people are working 60, 70, 80-hour weeks, then what that tells me is that across the 2 jobs that everyone's apparently working, people are working 50 to 100% more hours, which means there must be 50 to 100% more jobs available than there were before. And that's just based on unemployment figures not changing. So we've now got a situation where unemployment rates are at an all-time low. Now, unemployment rates are based on how many people are not employed, right? And according to her, everyone's working 60, 70, 80-hour weeks, which means they're working 50, 75, or 100% more than they were before, and more people are doing those hours. So that means that the economy has grown by roughly 50 to 100%. This is the crazy thing. And people are saying, well, why don't we have more women in leadership? Alexandria Cortez is a prime example of why there are not more women in leadership, right? Because typically people in leadership get voted by the larger collective, right? The majority of people who actually know what's going on will typically vote for the people that have their best interests at heart. This is why Hillary Clinton did not win the election. This is why, despite all of the apparent travesties that Donald Trump is inflicting on the US, his approval rate is at an all-time high. All right? And, someone having a degree in economics does not equate to knowing about economic history, just as having a degree about the Constitution of the USA means you knows about it. Doesn't mean you know about its history. That's right, a white man. And this, I guess this is where I'm just gobsmacked, right? Because how do we get to a point where at universities people are being taught such junk and garbage to come in, with less than 10 years since they started uni, thinking that they can change the world and that they have the tools at their disposal and that they know what goes on, right? Because the people that taught them were indoctrinated, and the people that taught their teachers were indoctrinated. The people that taught their teachers are indoctrinated. Right? This has been going on for several generations, right? And we look at it and I sort of say to myself, well, these people are not being taught about history. History is essentially being erased, which is true. But here's something really interesting about that. yes, history is being erased, but what's also happening is a new history is being created. And you can go and you can tear down statues, right? And you can tell people that, oh, things were never, there weren't always a capitalist society in America. We weren't always a capitalist society. You can tell people everything you want to tell them. You can create a new history, but people will always remember the outcomes of your new history lessons, right? People will always remember the outcomes. And if the outcomes aren't pretty, then neither are people's memories going to be. So what's happening right now is the political left has gone too far. They've way overstepped the mark. Right? And I mean the radical political left, right? Not the left that actually cares about, fighting for people that don't have a voice for themselves, right? Because that's essentially what the left is all about. The right is basically about hierarchy and saying, well, we need to respect the hierarchy and the way that people fall into it. And the left is like, well, these people are at the bottom of the hierarchy. We want to help those people. So that's why we're here. But when you go radical and you start to try and enforce the same outcomes for the people at the bottom of the hierarchy as you do at the people at the top of the hierarchy, that's when shit gets messy, and that's what's happening right now. That's what these people are pushing for. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is pushing for socialism, and it is not a good thing. So that's all I wanted to really say, guys. Wanted to share that with you. Hope this has been informative. I put a link to the video in which she's saying this and the article that I read from in the description below, so feel free to go and check that out. Feel free to share this with anyone that thinks politics is going nuts in this country, or anyone that has mixed opinions about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and being nice there. Feel free to share it on your social media, send it to your friends via messaging, whatever you want to do. But no matter what, I want you to hit that sub button down low, hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it. It really helps me and it really helps you guys to catch these daily red pills, as well as spread the word to the greater community. All right, guys, I'm out of here for now. I'm going to bounce and head off to work, but I appreciate you all tuning in, and I look forward to catching you next time. Peace.